had a little click, and the signal strength began to start dropping off. Your transmissions were cut off very abruptly. How do you read now?
Roger, loud and clear. We had a handover to Madrid about the time I was, I guess, halfway through the pad. If you could give me the last value you read, I'll pick up there. Over.
Okay, start with Delta VZ.
Welcome back, fourth graders. As you can see, Honey Rose has sent us some more video as that spaceship is approaching Mars and getting ready to send down another rover onto the surface. Again, she doesn't look to be too nervous, looks pretty comfortable. I'm just so happy to see that she's doing okay still.
00197 003 00152.
Honey Rose also sent some video of their descent down onto the surface of Mars. They're on a rover, just like Perseverance, really. As it comes through that thin atmosphere, it'll deploy a parachute, and that parachute will slow down the rover and bring it to the surface. And then it gently touches down, and you can actually see from the cameras on the underside of the rover the wind that's being blown around and the soil of this red planet that kind of swirls around in the camera lens here. You can see the actual touchdown onto the surface. So, some exciting video sent to us today. I sure hope she's staying safe. It sure is nice to get an update from Honey Rose about her mission to Mars. I'm feeling a lot better now that I've seen some of her updates. Well, we need to continue on with our other lessons. As you know, we've been talking about hurricanes in the southeast, and in particular, Hurricane Katrina that slammed into New Orleans. So let's read on a little bit more. In this book, it says, officials at the National Hurricane Center warned that the hurricane could cause catastrophic damage. New Orleans was in particular danger. You see, a rise of ocean water caused by the hurricane, called a storm surge, could crash over the city's levees. The levees separated the city from rivers, lakes, and canals. They helped protect the city and other parts of Louisiana from flooding. But now many officials and residents nervously wondered whether the levees could withstand Katrina. Here's a map that shows the track of Hurricane Katrina as it came across the Gulf of Mexico and up into Louisiana. It started off, remember, as a tropical storm. Remember, this part of our United States is tropical, just a very little bit here at the end, subtropical for most of it. But as a tropical storm, it came across the tip of Florida as a Category 1 hurricane. But then it got stronger. Look at this, became a Category 2, a 3. As it got into warmer water in the Gulf of Mexico, it eventually became a Hurricane 5, a Category 5 hurricane. It doesn't get any bigger than that or stronger than that. That hurricane Category 5 out there in the Gulf of Mexico then turned into a 4 as it got closer to land. And when it made landfall, it was a 3, which, thank goodness it wasn't still a Category 5. It would have been even more damage. But still, even as a Category 3, it created a massive amount of damage and destruction as it continued into landfall. Notice it's still a tropical storm, even as it goes up into Mississippi. Let's read on a little bit further. Hundreds of thousands of people from New Orleans and other parts of Louisiana drove away from the danger. But about 100,000 people stayed in New Orleans. Many could not leave because they did not have cars or enough money for transportation. So normally people would evacuate. That means leave the area as a hurricane is approaching. But we just read that a lot of people in New Orleans, they were not able to escape or evacuate because they didn't own cars. That made this storm even more deadly. Remember, there was over 1,800 people that died from this hurricane. And if we put that together with what we found on the map, that there was actually a time where the storm was even stronger, even bigger. It was a Category 5 out here in the Gulf of Mexico. And then it became a 4 and finally a 3 as it came onto land. So as bad as it was, it actually could have been even worse. There's one more thing I want us to look at for Hurricane Katrina, and it has to do with some history, actually. We're going to look back at some history of New Orleans, which will help explain why there was so much damage. I mean, Hurricane Katrina was a massive storm. Don't get me wrong. It was massive in its size and its strength. But Hurricane Katrina caused so much damage because New Orleans itself was somewhat flawed in its design. Let's read here. In the 19th century, civic leaders built pumps and canals to drain water out of the region. This created more dry land for people to build on. But the drained land was actually 7 to 10 feet, that's 2 or 3 meters below sea level. Wait a minute. Doesn't this sound a lot like the Everglades? Remember with the Everglades, they also were draining water from the land. And it was for the same exact reason. They were creating more dry land for people to build on, for development to occur. The problem with New Orleans is it's 7 to 10 feet below sea level. It's actually lower than the level of the sea, of the water that's out in the Gulf of Mexico. As a result, New Orleans is like a bowl that sits between two big bodies of water. The levees are like the sides of the bowl. They keep water from filling up New Orleans. Pumps and canals drain any water that does get in. So here's a picture of one of those canals that drains the water away from the land. It's from 1910. That's how far back this goes. It says this 1910 photograph shows one of the many artificial canals in New Orleans. That means man-made. This canal was man-made. It's not part of nature. They dug this canal to drain the water off the land. Problem was, that made the land 7 to 10 feet below the level of the sea. So what did they do? They built up these levees, these hills on the sides. And those levees were supposed to hold back the water. Well, that's fine for a small pond. But to hold back the level of the sea, like the Gulf of Mexico, not a very good plan. But that's what they did. New Orleans is one of the few places on earth below the level of the sea. So when that storm came and the storm surge rushed in through these canals, it created all kinds of flooding. And as a result of New Orleans being shaped like a bowl with levees on all sides, that water had nowhere to go. It just kept filling up and filling up and filling up and causing more and more flooding. By looking back at the history then of New Orleans, we're going to work on an assignment that goes along with Hurricane Katrina. And it's going to talk about cause and effect, which is something that we've done before, how things have an effect based on something that's causing it. So what happened and why it happened. So head on over to Canvas to work on those 3 questions that go along with the cause and effect with Hurricane Katrina. And then the next time we're together, I hope we find out some more about Honey Rose. I would think she'd be on her way back from Mars at that point. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get any more postcards. She is, after all, out in space. But we should find out some more about her trip, and I would think she'd be heading back to Minnesota sometime soon. I can't believe how long she's been traveling around there in the southeast. In any case, good luck, and we will see you again tomorrow.